Hello and good morning, everyone. Welcome to yet another episode of the Market Snapshot series. My name is Rufas, Markets Analyst at FX Pesa. So today we'll be talking about the key highlight events that we'll be expecting to be moving the markets. The good news is we don't have a lot of events for the entire week. But of course, whenever you see such kind of a week, one event per day is able to generate the required volatility. So let's begin with the Forex factory calendar. As you can see, today being Monday, there is a bank holiday in Japan. We don't expect any major news going forward. But then fast forward to Tuesday. Tuesday will be having the main event early in the morning at 7:30 a.m. And this is where we'll be expecting the Reserve Bank of Australia to be cutting rates by at least 25 basis points. So in this case, moving from 3.85% down to 3.60% interest rates. So after that, we look at the main card for the US dollar, which will be the inflation data. So CPI on Tuesday at 3:30 p.m., where we'll be expecting a 0.3% increase. Then we look at the Australia's wage price index on Wednesday. Of course, there will be a couple of Fed members. Then we'll get the EIA crude oil inventories at 5:30 p.m. on Wednesday. So later on, we'll be looking at the job data in Australia. This will be on Thursday at 4:30 a.m. and then the UK GDP data at 9 a.m. Then as we approach the end of the week, we'll be getting the US CPI data at 3:30 p.m. So on Friday, we don't expect much. Of course, there will be retail sales for both China as well as the US economy. So of course, it's an action-jammed week. So on the highlights of what happened last week, one of the key things was the strong rally in equities. So if you look at the last 5 days performance, you'll notice that Apple was up double digits, 13.33%. Nvidia was up 5%, Broadcom 5.66%. Amazon 3.7, Google 6%, Meta 2.5. So most of the major big tech stocks were on a very strong rally, and we have seen the top indices make a very important recovery. So we'll be covering that in the later part of the presentation. So on the Forex side, the dollar is a little changed to a lot of major currencies. With very slight movements from the Japanese yen, which is up 0.1%, whereas for the New Zealand dollar, it's down 0.12% against the USD. However, if you look at the last 1 week, then you'll notice there is a key difference where the Japanese yen, trying to see the difference, and it's not loading properly. Yeah, so month to date, you can still see that the US dollar has been the weakest currency across board. So we'll be comparing this with the day's performance. And of course, you can notice the big difference where the biggest gainer has been mostly the Japanese yen, the euro, and the pound. So we'll be comparing these with today's performance. And of course, Monday tends to be a bit of a slow day. So on top of that, trying to see if there's any other major key highlights. So European stocks edge higher to kick off the week. This was earlier. If you look at the current prices as of right now, the European indices tend to be moving further back downwards. So with that in mind, I believe we can jump straight to some technical analysis and try to understand where the markets might be headed next. So hello, Kiama Muturi. Thank you for joining and commenting. I can see Paul Kerry in the house, Odiwa, Masi in the house. Thank you for joining. Robert Cavale, Smith, Maureen, Joseph. Thank you guys for joining. You can see Simon Gekonyo. Of course, if you have any question relating to the presentation, feel free to type it in the comment section, and I'll be responding on the go. So first things first, we know that we've just seen a very important breakout happen in gold. So if you go to the 15 minutes chart, you notice that we had this key level support trend line. It was just broken in the past 1 hour. course, you should be expecting this momentum to continue building. So good chance that we see the market head for the next level of support somewhere around 33.49. So we should be expecting this momentum to be extending further back downwards. On the other hand, we continue seeing a very strong bearish momentum on Brent oil prices. Of course, we have hit a key level support. So notice the number of times the market has been bouncing off this support. So this is $65.654 per barrel. And of course, if you look at that day, Friday high, then we seem to be having some form of trend line. So good chance that we see the market retesting this particular trend line, as long as this key level support continues holding for the day. So on the other hand, US equities made a very important recovery last week. We almost got into a new all-time high. And now you can see as we start a completely new week, there seems to be some form of profit taking. So here, yes, we were expecting the market to hit a new high. However, that did not happen. So what we are seeing here is the market pulling back. And of course, we know that there is a lower trend line. So if you look at the lows of last week, they seem to be following a particular trend line here. And as we moved to an even stronger trend, we even got another trend line here. So good chance that we see the market retesting the area around 23,514, and that's for the Nasdaq. We have the Dow Jones also made an important recovery last week, but didn't get to a new high. So this week we'll be expecting some form of continuation. And of course, as you can see, since the market opened, we are still attempting to get to the previous high that we had seen on Thursday. So as for the SP 500, it's still the same thing. It was a very important recovery last week. We didn't get 100% recovery. So what we are seeing right now is some form of pullback. I believe we should be seeing some value areas once the market retests the lower trend line here. So good chance that this week we continue with the recovery path and potentially get into a new high. So on the BTC side, of course, we know that it's headed for a new all-time high. So after making an important rally last month, and hitting a new high of 123,000, now we are seeing a very strong momentum towards the same area. So we should be expecting to see the market hit a new high above 123,000. So it's quite a strong bullish momentum. So on the dollar index side, notice that since the market opened, we had a bearish momentum, and then the market got back up. And now it's easy to identify from last Friday's price action that this market is in some form of consolidation. And this implies that the dollar could be moving sideways for the rest of the day. Of course, we have seen a lot of momentum, especially in pound USD. Since the market opened, you can see we had acceleration and then a pullback. So I expect, at least with slow momentum today, to see the market continuing trading within this particular flag here. So more of a sideways momentum rather than a big momentous break without news fueling the markets. So it seems to be the same idea. If you're trading Euro USD, you'll notice that we are also here in some form of consolidation. So of course, if you're looking for short-term movements, then it should be within the consolidations unless there's a major break. So for instance, Euro USD, good chance to see the market bouncing from here, heading right back to the resistance around this area. So as for AUD USD, we are seeing similar momentum. So if you go to the 15 minutes chart, then you notice that this market seems to be consolidating around here. And of course, we have a key level support around here, and the market is just oscillating up and down within those limits. So as for the dollar trading against the Swiss franc, we can see something of a similar theme here, where the market is facing some significant resistance along this particular trend line. And now as we retest this area, if we don't have a break, a good chance that we see the market moving further back downwards. So other than that, the UK 100 index seems to be also in some sideways kind of momentum. And now as we begin the week, it seems like we are moving from the lower side of the range towards the upper one. So good chance we see some continued recovery for the FTSE 100. So as for the Japan's Nikkei 225 index, we are yet very close to hitting a new high. So some good momentum this morning. So good chance that we see a continuation today, given that we have had some significant pullback from the Asian session high. So I'm checking the comment section to see if there's any questions as we approach the end of the presentation today. So yes, we'll be following closely on the Trump's threat to impose tariffs on gold. Of course, gold is a key asset when it comes to international trade, as well as settlement. So in this case, closely following Trump's attack on gold, we could have some short-term pullback, but long-term, we still expect gold to continue being in a bullish momentum. Of course, last week we had some heavy selling, but we could be seeing some recovery this week. So also a good question from Apollo. How is AI influencing trading? Use of bots, etc., AI enabled? Aren't they affecting technicals and fundamentals of trading? Noted some stocks moving over 39% on a single day and supported by any data. So mostly we are seeing the entire process of tracking trades basically moving towards AI. And this ranges from doing technical analysis, analyzing your data, and even making investment decisions. So yes, there is increased volatility as a result of the whole trading process being simpler because of these AI tools. So people are able to basically track down their trade ideas using AI and get alerts whenever, let's say, there's a setup. Of course, this has the impact of increasing volatility in the markets. So as for the Fed replacement, I believe that Trump really wants to see much lower interest rates. So he'll be looking to appoint governors that are pro-cutting rates, and at the same time, given the given the volatility that we saw in the market, especially after the announcement of the last non-farm payrolls, then there's a good chance that the next Fed meeting will be an interest rate cut. So in this case, markets are basically betting that there will be a cut on the next meeting, regardless of what happens. So that's it for the day. Thank you very much, everyone. Remember to check out the latest episode of the British Panther podcast. If you don't have a trading account, make sure to check out the links in the description below. And if you're watching this on X, kindly visit the FX Pesa official page. Then you'll get a link to register for our classes. And of course, to register for a trading account. So that's it for the day. Thank you, everyone, and I hope you have a fruitful week.